gosh, it's Friday. Thank gosh, it's Friday. Listen, I know my vocal skills are not up to par, but that's neither here nor there. And you know what? Never mind that. Let's just dive right into today's episode, for goodness sakes. I am holding in my hand a book that I read in the middle of last year, around November or October 2021. Now, I first came across this book while scrolling on Facebook, and the first thing I did was scroll right past it. So why did I scroll past this book? Well, I thought to myself, the cover is too plain. The image is in black and white, and on the front cover, there's a picture of this girl looking away from me with her hands on her hip like she has an attitude. It just wasn't a book that aroused or piqued my interest, so I just scrolled past this book every time I saw it. But one day, the book popped up again on my timeline, but this time, people were ranting and raving about how good this book was. So I was like, let me go and find out what's going on in here. What's so good about this plain looking book that it keeps popping up on my timeline? The first thing I did was head to Amazon and read the sample pages. Immediately, I was pulled in. The sample pages were so good that I went ahead and purchased the entire ebook. I read the entire book, and let me tell you, this is a really good read. If you haven't checked this book out, I would recommend that you do so as soon as you find time. This book did a whole lot for me. It did so much for me. It gave me what I like to call a mental massage, meaning it tickled my senses. I was able to smell, touch, and feel everything that took place in this book. I was able to see the scenes play out in my head. It turned out to be a real tearjerker. I mean, it pulled at my emotions so much. I can't even explain how emotionally invested I was in the characters of this book. Sean and Caprice left such a lasting impression on me that for about 3-4 weeks after I finished the book, I was looking for me a man like Sean. I'm like, where is Sean at in my life? I need him. One thing I liked a lot about this book is that it touched on mental health in such a way that it provided me with some kind of comfort in knowing that I'm not alone. Because what happened to Caprice, it happens to a lot of people. And that kind of trauma is very hard to heal from. I came to realize that each time I had scrolled past this book in the past, that I was cheating myself because I had judged this book by its cover. I judged this book by its first impression. The first thing I thought was this girl about to be a little fast-tailed ratchet, but she was totally the opposite. Now, my point is that first impressions, y'all, are really, truly overrated. Just like we can judge a book by its cover and be wrong about the book, we do the same thing to people all the time. We give too much credit where credit is not earned, and we take credit away where credit should be given. Y'all, we can't judge a book by its cover, and we also can't judge a person based on how they appear at first sight. We have to open books to actually see what they're about. And we have to look past the surface of people to see what people are all about. Now, it's funny how people, places, and things are not given a real chance until it becomes popular. It's like the opinion of one person is not enough. We have to wait until things make it into mainstream and we see that everybody else is accepting it before we give it a chance. And that's really sad. I had to check myself because at that point I realized that I had done what most people have always done and what I have always frowned upon. I had judged this book by its first impression, and that was a no-no. Now give me a second while I prepare myself to read an excerpt from this book. In 3, 2, 1. I woke up hurting real bad. I was wearing my pink pajamas and had been sleeping on the couch. When I sat up, I got scared because out of the corner of my eye, I saw somebody sitting on the lazy boy. My breathing picked up, but when my eyes got used to the dark, I saw that it was just Gracie. I calmed down. Did she find me in the bathroom? Did she put me in these clothes? Did she clean all the blood off the tile floor? Gracie. My voice was scratchy from screaming, so it came out sounding rough. It hurt a little. Did she know what I did? Was she mad at me? Did she think I was bad? Gracie. She didn't let me finish talking. She was off the lazy boy in seconds, getting close to my face. When her hands came down and grabbed me by the shoulders, I started shaking and I didn't stop until she let me go. I didn't want anybody to touch me, not even Grace. Child, she whispered in the dark. All I could see was the outline of her head and the little bit of outside light reflecting off the white parts of her eyes. Her whispered words came out rushed, angry. Did you let Marcel touch you? I froze up, my back going straight. Let? Like, did I want him to? Did she think I asked him to do it? Did she think I was bad? When I finally found my voice, I couldn't control how loud it came out. I was practically screaming. I didn't want him to. I didn't want him to. I didn't want him to. Woo. That took more emotion than I thought it would, guys. That was an excerpt from a book called Fast. The author of this book is Millie Belizaire. I'm here to tell you guys once and for all, never judge a book by its cover. Now, I'm not saying that the cover of this book is all bad. It just wasn't what I was used to when I'm looking for books. I look for a color. I look for something that's going to grab my attention. And by this girl looking away from me on the cover of the book, it kind of diverted my attention. It made me feel like I'm not supposed to read this book. This book is not, the cover of this book is not pretty enough, to be all honest. Now, there's another book whose title and author I won't mention. But this book pulled me in because the cover was very appealing. It was very colorful, and it drew me in because the book cover was very artistic. But as I started to read this book, I couldn't have been more disappointed. The book looked like a good book, but the book, I would rate that book a 2. With Millie Belizaire's Fast, I would rate that book a 5+. So I'm reiterating my point that just because something or someone looks good on the outside does not mean that the insides are good. We need to start looking past the surface of things and get deeper than that. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to cheat ourselves out of good books, good people, good places, and good things. I know that you understand where I'm coming from. Even if that's hard to admit out loud, you can start by admitting it to yourself. First impressions are often pointless because not only can things and people change costumes in the blink of an eye, but first impressions are a facade to start with in most cases. And so that quote that goes, "Never judge a book by its cover," there's no need to flip the script on that. We're gonna leave that one alone. I would really like for you to check out this book, Fast, by Millie Belizaire. Millie is a self-publishing author. She has a trigger warning in the beginning of this book, and she's planted seeds of hope for anybody who has experienced the things that Caprice had experienced. She also has other books in her library. I am going to leave information as to where you can find this book. It's available as an ebook and as a paperback. And after reading the ebook, I was so pleased with the book that I also did purchase the paperback, because I am building a library of books written by self-published authors, and Millie Belizaire's was one of the first books that I added to my library. Now, in case you missed the episode where I'm talking about how first impressions are very deceitful, I'm going to go ahead and add that link in the description of this video, along with the link to Millie Belizaire's book. I want to take this time to thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back for more. Please tell a friend to check me out. Share this episode, scroll through my podcast, and check out some other episodes that you might like. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And there's just one last thing that I want to say. Thank gosh it's Friday. Thank gosh it's Friday. Peace.